Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on Modern Moms. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. Today's mothers have more options than any previous generation, but they're also facing different types of pressures than the women who came before them. As modern moms navigate the challenges and find their joy, we're celebrating all of them. Motherhood in America is undergoing changes. Fewer women are choosing to become moms. Recent CDC statistics reveal that nearly 50% of American women under 45 do not have children. For women who do choose motherhood, it's often part of their core identity and a rewarding experience as long as they don't lose themselves in the process, says Dr. LaShawn Paul, a married mother of 3.
Check in to see where you are, what you want, your goals, and the things to make yourself happy as a mother, and not only centering your children's goals. Those things you'll do naturally.
Mary Almonte, the founder of Young Urban Moms, is a married mother of 2 and part of a multiracial, multi-ethnic blended family. She's pursued motherhood and her career and is now director of video content for ESPN's Anscape. She co-executive produced the Hulu documentary Hip Hop in the White House. Her career success is rewarding, and so is the joy she gets from seeing her kids grow into genuinely kind and caring people.
When they're younger, it's like you get to those milestones, right? Like, oh, they're walking, oh, they're talking, they can read, they did well on their report card. But I really think that now that my kids are older, it really is just seeing them as well-adjusted, happy, opinionated young adults.
Glamorous images of pregnant celebrities and famous mothers with fabulous figures flood entertainment shows and social media feeds. They're images of motherhood that are unattainable for most and can easily make women feel insecure about their bodies, especially after the unwanted physical changes that can come from giving birth. Renowned double board certified plastic surgeon Dr. Stephen Greenberg says his mommy makeovers help reshape the body and boost his patients' self-confidence.
It's incredible what a mommy makeover does to a patient. It really makes them look better and feel better. It puts their body back to the way it used to be. And patients feel amazing when they're done with this.
The Pew Research Center found that 41% of babies born in 2020 in the U.S. were to unmarried women. Despite the large number of single moms, they face an array of special challenges, from financial and emotional to negative stereotypes. Jocelyn Cook is a single mother of 3 who left an abusive relationship. The college-educated entrepreneur created the Different Mom blog to help single mothers of color like herself thrive. She's also the author of the book, Faith Like a Mother.
My children aren't going to remember what I did for them. They're going to see what I did for myself and pattern that. And that's really big. That's what I think they'll learn from better than anything I could give them.
Let's go to our special panel and find out what they have to say. Joining me for this conversation is Mary Almonte. She is a married mother of 2. She's also the director of video content for ESPN's Anscape. Her latest project is Hip Hop and the White House on Hulu. And she's also the founder of Young Urban Moms. Mary, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
We appreciate it. Also with us is Jocelyn Cook. She's a single mom and entrepreneur. Her blog is thedifferentmom.com, and she's bringing a lot of different experiences to us. Jocelyn, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. Also with us is Dr. LaShawn Paul. She is a licensed clinical social worker. You can find her on socialworkdiva.com. Dr. LaShawn Paul, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it. Mary, when you look at the state of motherhood here, you deal with it with the Young Urban Moms podcast. You deal with it in your daily life. You deal with it in your career. What do you think are some of the biggest pleasures and opportunities right now for moms?
Well, I think I would start by saying that being a mother is a pleasure in and of itself. It's a privilege. I think that a lot of times you get caught up in the day-to-day and kind of can forget that, right? Like, it really is an honor to have that role in my kids' lives. And, I think that that's shared across, all mothers, or it should be. So I think that just watching them grow, watching them, develop their own opinions, especially, at a time like now where there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of conflicting opinions out there, a lot of, things that are confusing. I think that, just kind of watching your kids turn into adjusted young adults is really the biggest joy for me. But I mean, I guess I have to say I have a 21-year-old and a 13-year-old. So at the stage that I'm at, the proof is kind of starting to be in the pudding. I know that for some of my counterparts who have smaller kids might not be there yet. So
Exactly, a whole thing. Jocelyn Cook, tell us about you. How many kids do you have?
I have three, and the ages range kind of like Mary. I have a 20-year-old in college, a 15-year-old in high school, and then also have a 7-year-old. So across all spectrums. And with her, same as she says, it's great to watch because you see the process in the 20-year-old, you see what he's become, and then you know that your parenting is working, and you see the joys of what it is and what it can be.
In terms of some of the challenges, because you face a lot of challenges also as a single mother of three. That's a big job.
It is. It's a huge job. Not only do you just have one income coming into the house, you have to balance budgets, you have to make stuff work, you have to find activities for the children, get them to and from activities. And that's a challenge. But then also the judgmental parts of being a single mom. You get the judgmental stares, you get, what are you doing wrong? If your children are acting up, they automatically assume you've done something wrong. But if they're flourishing, then they automatically assume you're a superwoman and can do it all and don't need help. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges of single motherhood.
Right, we're going to get more into that. Dr. LaShawn Paul, what do you think about the stresses on moms today? Are they increasing? Are they different than previous generations?
I believe they're absolutely increasing. So when you look back on what modern moms experience, it goes a little bit more beyond just the village with the opinion, right? There's the internet and the world at your disposal, judging and providing information that kind of can be overstimulating at times. So figuring out who you are as a mother, but also this new addition of like the psychological, like thinking about those sort of things and making sure that we're raising full, whole human beings that are mentally well has add additional challenges.
Stay with us. There's more to come.
I think that what's really important to keep in mind is that we're all on our own journey.
Dr. LaShawn Paul, in terms of social media, because we see, I mean, especially the celebrity moms, we see them in these glamorous photo shoots at about 8.5 months pregnant. And, they're showing their belly, which is a whole, a wonderful thing to be proud of. But what kind of impact are some of these images? And then, of course, the next thing is, a couple months later, we see them with a six-pack and we see them, working out and, doing all these other things and whatever. But what impact does social media have on our concept and the stresses on mothers today, do you think?
I think that one of the biggest pieces is how we look at ourselves. So ultimately it affects our self-esteem, right? Feeling that we're not necessarily doing enough, especially when you see like the curated Pinterest posts or the Instagram posts that make you necessarily question, are you doing enough or are you enough, right? And I think that especially the idea of the snapping back and those sort of things adds an unrealistic expectation that we're naturally supposed to go through this process. And it's a beautiful thing, no matter what body you're in, as you take care of not only your babies, but also yourself.
But how do you deal with something like that where you feel envy or you feel, you just feel like you're not measuring up or you're less than because of what you're seeing on the phone? I mean, people are like this all the time,
I'm a big proponent of therapy, right? Not that that pushing it only because I do it, but also one of the biggest pieces of ensuring that is just kind of sometimes pulling yourself away, right? It's a great protective factor to kind of put the phone down sometimes, because naturally as humans, we want to compare ourselves to others. And I think the most important goal is to just take a break from it and allow yourself to live a little bit more mindfully, and also self-care, right? Making sure that you do something that makes you feel well. We can't necessarily choose other people's self-care as our own. And we ultimately need to necessarily figure out what makes us feel and look good within our own, and judge ourselves to ourselves.
Definitely. Jocelyn, in terms of as a single mom, you talk about people have certain opinions, they have certain judgments. Give us an example of that and what it made you feel like.
For instance, if your children are doing great in school and there's no problems, they assume that you're superhuman and that you need no help and you're a rock star, and they don't think that you struggle and also have any type of mental health issues or any type of issues, because all they see is the finished product. They don't see what's behind the scenes. But also, then again, on the reverse of that, there's times where, for instance, if your children are struggling or if there's something going on, they automatically assume you're an uneducated mother, or you're not trying hard enough, or you're not doing enough. So there's that stigma as well.
Mary, what about the judgments? Because that's been a big topic, I know, for the young urban moms.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people are judgmental, I think, by nature. I think Dr. LaShawn would be able to expound upon that clinically. But I think that what's really important to keep in mind, and it's for ourselves as mothers, but also to impart to our children, is that we're all on our own journey. And there's no handbook for being a mother, being a daughter, being a son, being a human, really, right? So I think that we're all doing our best and need to kind of remind ourselves of that and kind of shut out the haters.
What about the comparisons though? Because there's comparisons like you're walking your kid to the school bus or you're walking your kid to school, and then other moms and some of the dads and the other caregivers or whatever, it's what is she wearing? Look what she's wearing. She's got, slippers on, and she just threw on a coat because, what about those kinds of things? Anybody?
I think that it's important to ultimately create a community around you that's supportive, right? It allows you to kind of get the reality check to see if something is going off, if it's going to potential mental illness or other different things that may ultimately need guidance and professional help. But it also allows you to create and even have a timeout and break, right? I think we judge ourselves when we keep on going. I'm a mom of 3 also, but married, and still it may not necessarily feel enough for a lot of people when you're working from home, and you may not necessarily feel that you are maybe as present as you should be at times. But I also think that recognizing that children are very resilient and they will be fine no matter if you're a stay-at-home mom, working mom, single mom, as long as they're surrounded by love and ultimately you exhibit that within your own self. That's ultimately like the best thing.
Mary, what about that?
The perspective that I would want to share with that I personally experienced as a teen mom, people had so much to say about like the things I was allowing my daughter to do or wear, or the fact that we're more like friends than mother and daughter. And, I mean, to your point, it's really important to not have those people in your inner circle. Make sure that you are where you're celebrated and not feeling like you're going to be judged. And honestly, those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind.
Right.
So
Exactly. Jocelyn, in terms of single moms, I mean, there's a growing number of women who are choosing to start out motherhood as a single mom. And then in terms of what you're hearing and the feedback that you get on your blog, A Different Mom, tell us about that and your own experience.
I think, like you were saying, there are more people choosing to be single moms, or some people, of course, don't choose to be that or don't choose that lifestyle. I think it's more important. I try to tell my visitors to my blog and people and encourage them that it is possible. No matter what people say, they get the idea that it's not possible to have nice things. It's not possible to have self-care. I think it's important to surround yourself with a village or a circle that can assist you in becoming successful and your children being successful as well.
Jocelyn, what about unsolicited? How do you handle unsolicited advice? I'm sure you get some.
I get tons of unsolicited advice, honestly. And
like what? Give us an example of like what kind of things do people say to you?
They'll say something like, well, maybe you shouldn't be so harsh on your children. Maybe you shouldn't have to have them so strict on a routine, because my kids are on a routine, because time management is important as a single mom. And they think that I'm harming my children. But in reality, I think children thrive on routine. But a lot of people say I need to be more lenient. I hid my pregnancies for a long time, like as long as I could, a lot of times, because I didn't want people to see that I was a single parent. And then once the babies came, then of course I get the unsolicited advice of I don't need to be so strict to a routine. They'll figure it out. And that's one of the biggest, hardest pieces of advice that I've always gotten.
Mary, let me ask you, because I know the topic came up, with the young urban moms. It's just in terms of the responsibilities that parents have, because if the kids don't do well, it's the parents' fault. But then sometimes different schools have different rules about what they can and cannot do to your child. So you're kind of powerless as the parent for what's actually happening, but you're responsible for the results. Tell us about that.
So it's funny because, Jocelyn was just talking about being very regimented and strict. And Again, I think that like whatever works kind of, is what you go with. And also every kid is different. So there's no one size fits all. So, it's, yes, definitely the failures and success, but not the success so much fall on the parents. But, I think that you just have to really know your kids. I think that's really the key to being a good parent. It's really knowing your kids' strengths and weaknesses and advocating for them accordingly. And that can be really challenging depending on what kind of educational system you have them enrolled in and, what kind of surrounding you're in. So,
Dr. LaShawn Paul, what I see you shaking your head, what about that?
I think that everyone hit the nail, hit it right on the top of the head, right? I think that one of the biggest pieces ultimately is not only knowing your kids, but also knowing yourself, right? I found that there's various different layers, especially when you consider what stereotypes people may have of moms of color, right? The automatic assumption is for me that either a single mom or a lot of the times because I don't walk around with a wedding ring and those sort of things because I have eczema on my hands, right? And one of the biggest pieces is really just kind of allowing yourself to not only advocate for your children, not in school. My kids are in Montessori. I'm also a mom of an autistic 10-year-old. And even though he's on the spectrum, but he has a high IQ. So oftentimes people just assume either he's kind of like either being rude or not necessarily engaging and other different things. But it's also to provide education on your kids to schools and to everyone necessarily in your community that may not think that someone that looks like him has autism or understand like the particular different challenges that each particular child faces because everyone is quite different.
Mary, what about the kids' clothes? Because this is no longer like you can just, you can only do the Old Navy baby for so long, the outlet, and then it gets to a certain point where they want $100 sneakers or $200 sneakers and all this. How did you how do you deal with that?
So very true. You hit the nail on the head, that you can only do Old Navy baby for so long, and that so long ends at middle school. I'd say with both of my kids, they didn't care what they were wearing until that magical time of middle school, where then everyone became hyper aware of the name brands, particularly the sneakers. And social media doesn't help with that either, right? Like, you would think everyone was rich, no joke, because everyone, kids was coming to school with these Jordans that are $200+ by the way. Middle school becomes the time of keeping up with the Joneses. You have to get a second job and maybe a third to to keep your kid in style. They get ridiculed for not being fashionable. It's really terrible. And social media just has created like this billboard of everyone in fashion show mode, and it's really a tough time to kind of maneuver.
Jocelyn, tell us how have you had to deal with that with any of your three kids?
I have, but also I'm probably non-traditional in the way where I actually speak to my children about budget and money situation, and I let them know, hey, I'm the only income. This is what we can spend. This is what we do, and they don't have allowance because they didn't have chores. But if they need money for something, they let me know. But they also know not to ask for certain things just to compare. But if it's something they need, they know the difference between needs and wants. And I'll do my best to provide for them. But of course we do extra, but I let them know about our budget and they're very aware of it.
Like if you want those, go get a job.
Exactly.
Jocelyn, what about when one of your kids will go, well, but mom, I really need that. I really need that.
And it is hard because you want to overcompensate for what the lack of, and you want to give it to them. Society has made it hard with social media, like you guys were saying. For instance, my son didn't have a social media account until he started getting recruited for basketball. And the coaches kind of forced them to have Instagram or forced them to have Twitter, and they could see that. But I would like to think that I started him young enough where he could understand that and know the difference and never make them feel guilty for my choices or my decisions or my lack of, but provide them, hey, Christmas is coming. Your mama's going to make it happen.
Dr. LaShawn Paul, final word, your advice for our modern moms.
I think modern moms should not be giving undivided attention to their kids, but also centering themselves in the process, right? The kids will grow up, they will leave you, right? And I think that ultimately a happy mom is ultimately a good mom, and one that ultimately makes sure that they take care of themselves, their own needs, and also their own mental health. That literally radiates on their children, and ultimately that's what children truly need, right? But be mindful in the process.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on Modern Moms. You can watch it again and share it on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page. Remember, use your mind, it's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.